Drop.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Javi, and today we're going to be reviewing the TRIMUI Smart. Now this device is not your average size device. It is what I would consider to be a mini handheld. As you can see in my hands, it is quite small and slim. So this device was primarily designed with pocket friendliness and portability in mind. Now this device launched sometime last year, and when it launched at $80. It has since come down in price. It is now around $60 to be more in line with some of the other newer, smaller handhelds you see on the market today, like the RG28XX and the MIUI A30. Now, before we get started, I do want to thank GoGameGeek for making this video possible. They did send this out for a fair and unbiased review. As always, everything I say in this video is my own opinion, and no money was exchanged or anything like that. So with that out of the way, let's just get straight into it. So I want to start with price. You guys can find this handheld on GoGameGeek's website. They have all color options available. So if you want the 32GB model, the base model, you're looking at $59.99 with a 10% off site-wide coupon. Use code RG99 for 10% off at checkout. And of course, you get free shipping to all countries. So that's really nice. You can, of course, get this from somewhere else. I've tried purchasing this from AliExpress. Long story short, it never arrived. So I suggest you guys buy it from GoGameGeek. They have sent me the device. It got here. And of course, they support the channel. So if you want to support me, go ahead and get it from them if you like this device. Now I want to take a quick look at the box before we take a look at the handheld. So it does say Retro Pocket Console. As you can see, it's marketed as a pocket-friendly device. Here we see all the color options. This is the elusive thermostat color. Shout out Joey's Retro Handhelds. He's so funny. That's not my joke. So yeah, we have the white, we have the blue right here, we have the yellow you see in front of me. Obviously the color is not exact in the marketing. And we also have this nice purple. I would love to get one of these. So yeah, the yellow and the blue are kind of like, they remind me of like the Switch Lite and just the whole colorway. You know, TRIMUI, I think they have really strong branding. As you can see by their packaging, it doesn't look like a retro handheld. TRIMUI Smart, built to spark your imagination. So yeah, it just says like all some of the supported systems down here. Having a look at the side, we have nothing. On the back, you can see the back of the device. You see our color options, and then it highlights some of the main features of this device. So it has Wi-Fi, it's tiny and slim, has a very fast boot time. It uses USB-C, 2.4-inch IPS LCD, 3.5 hours playtime. We'll talk a little bit more about this. TRIMUI Smart Market. It does have a market. We'll also talk about this, and Bluetooth audio. So that's kind of a unique of this device. It does support Bluetooth audio, which is pretty interesting because it does operate on Linux, and usually Bluetooth audio is not easy to get on a Linux device. So it's nice to see that here. So yeah, let's open this up real quick. Have a look at this manual, full color manual here in English, which is really nice. It just has like kind of like a quick start guide. You can read this. It shows you some of the main features you'll be using, saving and loading settings, add to favorites and stuff like that. But it's really nice to see a full color manual. And this is what I'm talking about, like the TRIMUI brand. I do appreciate the little details like this, like providing a full color manual and stuff like that. We also get a cable, and yeah, we get this little charging cable. This is a very, very short charging cable. It's about 6 inches. So yeah, that's the box. Let's move away from the box. And now let's actually talk about the handheld. Now my device did come with a 32GB SD card. I have since changed it for my own SD card. So as you can see here, this is a Micro Center 32GB. So all I did was I copied over all the files and moved it into this one, just because I prefer to have my own SD cards. Aside from that, I've just added a couple things. I updated the firmware. I've added a theme, and I also added a DS emulator. All those things are not stock, but aside from that, it's basically exactly the same as a stock card. Having a look at the device and how it feels in hand. First impressions, it is very small and very compact. As I mentioned before, I like how it feels in the hand. So as you can see back here, it has like this roundedness that kind of feels nice in your hands. A few interesting things about this device, there are some missing kind of IO and stuff you see on other handhelds. For example, there's no L1 and R1, there's no headphone jack. Instead of a power button, you have a power switch. So that's interesting. You do have a lanyard slot on this side, and then also there's no joysticks. So this is all D-pad centric. So a device like this is better suited for 2D games. So 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, but mostly through 2D games. Let me give you a quick tour of the device before I continue. So on the face, we do have a small D-pad on this side. You have a LED light indicator on this side. You have a 2.4-inch IPS OCA laminated screen. You have your select, you have your menu button and your start, and then your A, B, X, Y, and a Nintendo configuration. You also have a mono speaker. So here's a quick sound test. Up on top, we have a left bumper, power switch, right bumper. Over on the bottom, we have our micro SD card slot. We just have some labels for those face buttons. We have our USB-C charging slot. On the right-hand side, we have nothing. On the left-hand side, we have just this lanyard slot. So for anybody wondering, I added this myself. They sell these on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to get one of these. They come in like a 5-pack. But yeah, I just added this myself. This does not come included. And then over on the back, we just have this clean branding, TRIMUI Smart. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole device. Okay, now let's do a couple size comparisons to give you guys a better idea of how big this thing is. Let's start with one of my personal favorites, the RG35XX Plus. It's a good side-by-side. Another fan favorite, the RG35XXH. We have a Miu Mini Plus, Xbox Series S controller. How about another mini device? This is the Miu A30. And finally, this is the 8BitDo SN30 Pro. I did want to touch on these controls, so let's start with the action buttons. First of all, they're in the correct configuration. You have your Nintendo configuration, but they're not your standard membrane kind of controls. So the buttons, they're a little bit small, but they're tactile, which is really interesting. They remind me of maybe like a Game Boy SP or like a DS kind of button, where they're kind of tactile and they have like a really fast response time. Same thing with the D-pad here. D-pad is fairly small, as you can see on my thumb. I mean, I don't have the biggest thumbs, but you can still see the D-pad is fairly small. But the great thing about this D-pad, it's really accurate and really precise. So these controls are really, really good for like precision platformers, like something like Mario or Celeste or anything like that. I'll let you have a look at these shoulder buttons really quickly. So you can't press them right here on the edge. You have to press them kind of here, and they make a different sound. But they are by no means loud. And I do appreciate this. I like the simplicity of having less buttons, to be honest. I prefer having one big usable button than two small buttons that are kind of like tiny and uncomfortable to use. So I do appreciate this here. And then you have these select, start, and menu buttons. They are the loudest buttons on the console by far. So have a listen to this. So I mean, you're not going to be using these all the time, but they definitely are a little bit louder than all the other buttons. So yeah, I really like the controls on this thing, but of course it is better suited for 2D gaming. Of course, we have a lack of joystick here, and you're not going to be able to do like 3D stuff like some PlayStation games and stuff like that. And of course, we don't have the L2 and R2. Without the L2 and R2, it's not great. Okay, so now let's get this thing turned on, and let me show you what the software is all about. So as you can see, it does have a power switch. Turn that on, and you'll see this little light turn on. It does take a second to turn on, and then you'll see. So as you can see, I have this like Nintendo Switch style kind of theme. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the volume here. Sorry, that's some brightness. So yeah, it does use hotkeys for brightness and volume. As you can see, there's no volume rocker or anything on this device. So you have to use the select plus the shoulder buttons. But you get used to it, it's not too bad. So yeah, and here we have kind of like so it kind of reminds me of like a Nintendo Switch style. So you have a favorites here, you have recent, you have search, you have retro game. So you can see in here, you have all these different systems. I'll let you look through that. You have an app section. This is just so you can connect to your computer via the USB-C slot right here. You have a file manager. You have an activity. You have a store. I'm not sure if the store was shut down or what, but for some reason I can't get the store working. And then you have a settings menu. I'll show you the settings menu really quickly. So here you turn on your Wi-Fi, you have a hotspot, you have net play, you can connect to your Bluetooth audio, you can reset your Bluetooth, you can change the store URL, you have themes in here. So you can see I'm running the Nintendo DS theme. You can adjust your brightness in here as well, and your volume and the background music. So let's say this DS music is not your style, you can go ahead and lower that. Over here you can also change the way your buttons are configured. You have language, you have frequency, you can just you can up the clock of the CPU. You can also have the LED turn on and off. Right now I have it set to off, but if I change it, this light will remain on while the device is on. You can also refresh ROMs, you have a factory reset, you have a hardware tester, which is pretty good. There's a bunch of stuff in here: key test, LCD test, sound test, SD test, stress test, a bunch of stuff in here. And then you have device info. So this just tells you like what version you're on, CPU, your SD card, how much gigs you've used and stuff like that. And then finally some charging info, ADC info. So then when you plug this in, this will tell you how much you're pulling and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. So really quick, I do want to show you, if you press start, you can change the way this looks. So this is like kind of like a grid system, which is pretty nice. Reminds me of kind of like Onion. Or if you don't like that, you could also have a list view, which is really nice as well. So if you like something kind of like UOS, where it's kind of a list view, you have that option as well. So if you go into retro game and you press start, it'll go into like a grid view. So you have all these same thing. Nice grid view for all your systems this thing can play. And as you can see, this thing supports a lot of different systems. So let's go through them together. You have arcade, you have Atari 2600, Atari 7000, PCS 1, 2, and 3. You have Drastic. This is new. I'll show you that in a little bit. This is a DS emulator. You have Easy RPG. You have NES. You have Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color. You have Main Plus. You have Genesis, Master System. You have Neo Geo. You have Neo Geo Pocket and Neo Geo Pocket Color. You have Open Bore. You have PC Engine. I'm not sure what this is. You have PlayStation 1. This is PlayStation 1 Fast. So if you want a faster version. You also have SNES and WonderSwan Color. So it's basically all your systems. Again, you also have a list view for this, which is pretty cool. Let me quickly go into a library real quick so you can see. You also have box art in here. So if I tap to the right, you'll see I have box art. So this is a 3-image mix. It has your game, the name of your game, and a number assigned to it. That's what that looks like. Pretty cool. Let me show you a different library. So here in PS1, I just have a 2D box art. You can see what that looks like. So it's nice. I like that it doesn't just cut off the corner here and cut off the text. I like that it's in its own separate menu. So if you want to, go through the menu yourself, just looking at the box art, you can do that as well. And yeah, that's the box art. Really quick, let's try search. For example, let's see, I want to play some Pokemon today. So you can see I have Pokemon Heart Gold, and it tells me which emulators are corresponding to that. Pokemon Blue, Red, Ash Gray, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green. A bunch of ROM hacks in here as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool, the search function. Okay, so here we are in Super Mario World. And I just want to talk about the screen really quick. So here it is at the lowest brightness it can possibly be. And I wouldn't say it's the super dimmest screen, but I think it's adequate. And this is max brightness right here. As you can see, viewing angles are pretty good. It is an IPS display. And it gets fairly bright. More than adequate for outdoor gameplay. So yeah, you can see the screen is fairly small, but at the same time, it's nice that there's absolutely like no bezel here. You can see they kind of hidden the bezel with the shell of the device, which is nice to see. So now let's move into some performance testing. Let's start easy with some Game Boy. This is Kirby's Dream Land. So yeah, Game Boy runs really well, of course. So yeah guys, I want to sum this up with my closing thoughts on the TRIMUI Smart and everything I feel about this device. First of all, I think it's a great package. I think they've done a really good job of making a portable, pocket-friendly device. I love the controls here. It's simplistic. I like that they're like tactile, really fast, responsive buttons, great for platforming games. You know, you don't have the L2 and R2, which I don't mind. I like the simplistic kind of control layout for this. Screen, yes, it is fairly small at 2.4 inches, but it's bright, it's good looking, and it's nice to play on. It's kind of impressively powerful how this little tiny handheld can do so much. You know, it's got PS1, you can do DS, even playing like Mario Kart and stuff is kind of amazing on this little tiny device. The software is kind of impressively good. You know, for what it is, you can change between menus and stuff. It supports themes. You have over-the-air updates, Bluetooth audio, and a bunch of other nice features. I think the build quality is pretty good. I think TRIMUI here has a pretty strong brand, you know, and I can see why this device has a cult following. One thing I will say is I wish the battery life was a little bit better. You know, this thing has like a tiny 1000 milliamp hour battery, which is like rated for like around 3 hours. And for something like this, I guess it's fine. Like you're gonna put it in your pocket and, you know, play it for maybe half an hour or something and put it back in your pocket. But I just wish it, you know, it could go like 4 to 6 hours or something like that. But yeah, that's my only real gripe with this thing. I think it's amazing. I think that, you know, I like the TRIMUI took like a different direction with their handheld. Like there's just stuff not here, you know what I mean? No volume rocker, no joysticks, no nothing. They just kind of like left it like this. It's kind of amazing. So yeah, who do I think this device is for? First of all, I think this device is great for kids. I've seen a lot of parents that I know, like friends of mine, that of every single handheld, and these are people that have multiple handhelds, of every handheld they have, they decide to give the TRIMUI Smart to their child for whatever reason. I know 4 people already that I asked them, hey, what handheld did you give your kid? And it's always the same answer. It's the TRIMUI Smart. I guess this little handheld is good for kids, just like kind of feel like it's hard to break. You know, there's no joysticks here. You can't develop stick drift. You know, it looks like you can probably beat it up a little bit, and maybe it might survive a few drops because, you know, the screen is recessed and stuff like that. So it may make a good choice for kids, and also just as a great pocket friendly device for anybody looking for a good kind of device you can always have in your bag that you're never going to leave behind, because it doesn't really get in the way. It takes up no space. I think the TRIMUI Smart is going to be an excellent choice to take with you on your journey wherever you decide to go. So yeah guys, that's going to be it for this review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think of the TRIMUI Smart. Do you think it's something for you? Are you guys going to pick one up? What color do you like? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't done so already, you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more content like this. And yeah, if you made it to the end of the video, I want to say thank you so much for watching. And once again, my name is Javi, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.